We're gonna start with kind of like just kind of warm up, community builder activity. So again, I'd really like you to turn your cameras on, especially for this activity. And I may need some volunteers. Oh, Max, you're not feeling good? I'm sorry to hear that. All right. Let's start by looking at GIF feelings. So choose a box to reveal a GIF. Do you guys say GIF or do you say GIF? That's first and foremost. I've heard it both ways. And then I'm going to ask for a volunteer to share about the last time they also felt that emotion. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to pick a number to start and then we can talk about it, or then I'll look for a volunteer after that. Let me make sure I've got the chat box open. For some reason, it disappeared on me. There it is. All right, now I can see it. Not at home. All right. Let's pick number 5. Okay. Looking for a volunteer. When's the last time you felt this looks like a little kid at a basketball game? Kind of looks, I don't know. How would you describe that? Looking for a volunteer to unmute or type into the chat box. Frustrated, confused. Okay. And then I'm looking for a situation where like, when was the last time you were frustrated or when was the last time you were confused? And you just put your hands on your head like, oh my goodness, I can't even deal with this.
Last week I had a hockey game, and we were versing a team that we should have beaten, like destroyed, and they were beating us like 4-3, and then we scored to tie it, but then they scored again and they beat us. So that was just like
Yeah,
now.
sometimes you look at back at the end of a game and you're just like, how did that happen? Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jacob. Let's pick one more number and maybe get a different volunteer to describe this one. Let's see here. How about 7? Let's see if what 7 looks like. I've never seen this one before. So it looks like
I've seen all of these before.
did you guys do these in a different class?
I did them last year.
Okay. Ileana, do you have a response as to when was the last time you felt like this guy?
Okay, yeah, so I just found a quiet spot, right? And so someone was telling me like a story like a really, really long time ago, and I was actually eating food, so this kind of matches perfectly in another room. They were telling me a story, and I was like really confused as to what they were saying. So I literally just came out of the room and I said, okay, but I didn't even know what they were talking about because I was so focused on my eating.
So that's the difference between active listening and passive listening. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I find that I do the same thing. If I need to listen, I got to be like focusing and I can't be doing anything else because otherwise I may not be giving them my most undivided attention. Awesome. Thank you to those of you that shared, that put in the chat box. Again, I like to get started with those types of things. Let's go ahead and move over to Schoology. Let's talk about what has been sort of asked of you for the week. And then we'll talk about next week as well, because next week there's only school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we're not going to have a class connect next week. But of course, if you have any questions or you do want to meet like individually, we can absolutely do that. All right, so again, just checking out our Schoology page, looking at week 6. Looks like we're gonna finish up unit 5. Okay, so we're gonna review these lessons. We got a couple different things we're gonna do to review these lessons, finish up unit 5, and then next week you're going to practice practice for your basically quiz at the end. Now, I will share this today. So by the end of class today, I'll share this. So if you know that you're going to be traveling, or if you know that you're going to be really busy, once you finish this week's stuff, if you wanted to work ahead, you could do that as well. All right, so let's jump into our review. I've got a couple things I want to talk about. Make sure you've got something to write some notes down. So if you need to grab a pencil or a paper, go do that right now. And we're going to go ahead and kind of recap lessons 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see here. We kind of started off talking about fractions, decimals, and percents. Now I'm looking, let me make sure I can connect my pencil. I'm looking for a volunteer. Can someone try to explain how are fractions, decimals, and percents related to each other? Looking for a volunteer. Or just tell me one thing about one of them. Go ahead, Jacob.
I'm pretty sure if you have a fraction, you can divide it by 100. Well, no, that's if you have a percent. I'm pretty sure you divide it by 100, then you get a decimal, and then I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
All right, you're on the right track. Can anyone add to that or build off that? So fractions, whatever our fraction is, say we have something like 1/4. If we divide that, we can turn a decimal, we can do 1 divided by 4 and get a number like 0.25. Okay, 0.25. And then I think what you were describing, Jacob, was taking a decimal, multiplying it by 100. And when we multiply it by 100, it moves this decimal place 2 spots over. So 1/4 as a fraction would be 0.25 as a decimal, which would be 25%. So really quick, kind of just recap of that. We kind of did a lot of, I would say, stuff with properties of percents and finding percents within an equation. And that's kind of more the stuff that I want to practice right now. All right, give me 1 second. Sweet. All right, so the the next part of the lesson, the biggest idea when we talk about fractions or percents is everything that we want to compare it to is part to whole. So we're going to look at a subsection of this or a small piece of this, and then we're going to add it into the whole thing, or we're going to compare it to the whole thing. So if I have, oftentimes we use pie or pizza. If I have the whole pizza and I'm talking about a slice of it, that would be part of the whole pizza compared to the whole thing. We talked about finding percents in equations, and I believe I've got some practice for us to do that in a little bit. So we're going to practice finding percent in equations. I've got an example we can do together. Let me get it pulled up. Awesome. All right. A sweater is marked down 30% off the original price. Okay, so it's going to be called 30% off. And our original price was $37.50. What is the sale price of the sweater before sales tax? Okay, important stuff to notice. We've got our original price of 37.5. So I have to try to find out what is 30% of this number. Who's got an idea? What's a technique, a strategy that we can use to try to find this? To try to find this. Anyone got any ideas?
You could do 37.5 times 0.30.
Okay. 37.5 times 30. And where did you get that 0.30 number? How'd that come up?
30% isn't like 30, it's 0.30.
As a decimal, it's 0.30. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna have, yep. So we're gonna have to change
Also
our
known as
percent
30%.
to a decimal. So I would recommend, again, on these types of problems, you absolutely can use a calculator, and that's going to help save you a lot of time. So when I did this and I plugged it into my calculator, I got 11.25. Now you have to think back, and I want to make a point. What is the question asking? Is the question asking for money you saved? Is the question asking for how much it costs now? Because that's going to change. So, for example, let's take this. If the question asks me, how much money am I going to save? The answer is 11.25. But if the question asks me, how much does the sweater cost now? What would I have to do with these two numbers? My original price, my original number, versus how much money I'm saving. How do I find that new price? Add them. If we add them, it's going to get more expensive. And right now we are saving money. So we don't want to add them. We want to do what? Jacob?
Subtract.
Subtract. Yeah, thanks, Russell. So if we take our original price and we subtract how much money it was on sale, we could get our new sale price. So this sweater, after being 30% off, is $26.25. Building off this idea, there's another kind of concept called percent change. So we might not just want to find how much on or off it is. We want to find out what is that percent change going to be. So let me get my example. Okay. The price of a book is marked down. So the original price is $12 and it's marked down to be $10. What is the percent of decrease? So in order to find out what is the percent of decrease, we have a formula to use. So I want to make sure you guys write this formula down, make sure that you have this, and you probably want to memorize it. You're going to take your new price and you're going to subtract your original amount. So whether it's your original amount or your old number, you're going to take your new number and you're going to subtract it from the old number. And then you're going to divide it by that original number, okay? This is going to give you a fraction, potentially a decimal, okay? We like the decimals, but we want to get it to a percent. It's a percent change. So to turn a decimal to a percent, we multiply by 100. So this is our formula for percent change. So we're going to do that with this example. So the original price of a book was $12. The new price of the book is $10. So I'm going to plug into my equation. Excuse me. Maybe we even put parentheses around here. 10 minus 12 divided by 10 times 100. we have to do everything inside of our parentheses first. 10 minus 12 is negative 2 divided by 10 times 100. Negative 2/10 can be written as a decimal like negative 0.2 times 100. And remember, when you move your decimal over 1, 2 spots, okay, that's like multiplying it by 100. So my percent change is negative 20%. I'm looking for a volunteer who can explain why is this answer negative? Why would this answer be negative 20% and not positive 20%? Go ahead, type in the chat box, unmute. If you have an idea, why would our answer be if we started at 12 and went down to 10? Why would our answer be negative?
Because you would have to like move it or something. I don't know.
Let's build off that. Can you repeat that? I didn't really hear you.
Kind of like move the. Never mind. Actually,
Okay. Russell, I see you say it's decreasing. What do we mean by that?
Well, because it's marked down to 12 to 10, so you're decreasing because it's.
you don't really have to raise your hand.
I don't know.
No, I think you're right on. And Bobby, I see you typed in something too. Awesome. The reason it's negative is because our price went down. It got cheaper. If we had a positive 20%, our price, our final answer would be more expensive. It would be a mark up. It would go up. So instead of $12, it might be like $13.50 or something like that. Okay. I am trying to find, give me 1 second here. There it is. All right. I'm going to share a problem with you. And I want you to try it. Let's go to this one. All right. There we go. Go ahead, try a couple of these. We'll do probably 1 or 2 together, but there's 5 problems here. I want you to try to get at least 2 of them done. I want you to try 2 different ones. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this. You do not have to do them in order too. So if you want to do number 1 and number 4, go right ahead. If you want to do 2 and 5. Let me scroll down a little bit. There we go. Now we can see it. Let's go about 1 more minute. 1 more minute on your own, and then I'm going to do one problem together. Okay. Let's take a look again. I see you guys checking in. Awesome. If you got an answer, type it into the chat. Let's see if one of your classmates got the same answer as you. I'm going to go ahead and share number 3. I believe this was. So basically, Juan bought a laptop for $650 and he bought a power adapter for $59. The sales tax is 6%. He wants to know how much money did he spend on sales tax? So to make it easier on ourselves, right? We always want to try to make it as easy as possible. Let's go ahead and add the 2 things he bought together. Instead of calculating it for each item, let's add those 2 together first because that's going to save us a step. All right. So the total, he spent total $709 before tax. That's 650 plus 59. I want to talk about this, the number 6%. Who can first tell me what is 6% as a decimal? That's important. What is 6% as a decimal?
0.06.
Why is it 0.06, not
Because
just 0.6?
because if it's 0.6 and you times multiply by 100, then it would be 60%.
Right. So when we have our 6%, okay, we divide it by 100. We got to move that decimal 1, 2 places over and add in a 0. And like Max just said, if we did take 0.6 and we multiplied it by 100, we would get 60%. So that's one thing I wanted to point out why I chose this one is anytime you get a percent that's a single digit, you got to remember to add that 0.0 in front of it. All right, so now that I've got that, I can say 709 times 0.06. Again, I would use a calculator so I don't make a silly mistake. And I'm going to get $42.54. Now, I said at the beginning, you got to look back and ask what the question's asking. Because if the question said, how much money did he spend altogether? I would have to add these 2 numbers together. The question didn't ask that. The question said, how much money did he spend on just the sales tax? On just the sales tax? Well, that's going to be $42.54. So always double check to see what is the question asking me before I decide what to say. Your Class Connect assignment, okay, again, show me that you were following along, paying attention. Show me that you know how to do this. I'm going to publish it right now. Let's take a look at it. The total cost of the food was 24. She left a 15% tip. How much did Patricia leave for just a tip? Okay, that's a very similar problem to what we just did. The regular price of a DVD is $32. The DVD is marked down 30%. Again, marked down, your price is going to think, is it going to increase or decrease? Remember that formula that I told you to write down, okay? What is the percent change formula? And a pair of shoes were $60 but are now $45. What is the percent decrease? Again, tell me, is it 10%, 20%, 100%? How much did this go down?
Wouldn't number 4 be like, I don't know. I just had the answer.
And you could potentially do this in your head. There is a way to do that. All right, that's all I've got for you. If you go outside, make sure you bundle up, stay warm,